I will call the meeting to order at 3 p.m. And Spencer, would you like to announce staff members present?
Staff members present today are Planning Manager Hill, Principal Planner Roveri, acting as Zoning Administrator, Senior Associate Planner Schmidt, and myself, Recording Secretary Argenbright. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at monterey.gov/agendas. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you are connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
Thank you. Now I will move on to the consent agenda, and the only item on that agenda is the approval of the January 16th, 2025 minutes. Is there any public comments on the consent agenda?
There are no attendees online with their hands raised.
I will close the public comments for this item, and I'll say that I reviewed the minutes and they are an accurate representation of the happenings of that day. And so I will approve the minutes and therefore approve the consent agenda.
Not on the agenda.
That comes after. All right, now it's time for general public comments. The public may speak to any item that is not on the agenda and that is in the City of Monterey's subject matter jurisdiction. Do we have any comments on items not on today's agenda?
I see no hands raised in the audience, and there are no hands raised online.
Then I will close this portion of general public comments and we'll move on to the public hearing item. And this is item number 3. Consider 851 Cannery Row, use permit application UP 250034 to allow a mixed-use development with first floor commercial space and the second floor residential unit within an existing building. Applicant Sean Capps, Wald Runke and Dost Architects, property owner Chris Shake, Cannery Row and Historic Landmark Overlay, zoning districts, mixed-use neighborhood general plan designation, exempt from CEQA requirements per Article 19, Section 15303, Class 3, and Section 15331, Class 31. May we have a staff report?
Yes, my name is Chris Schmidt. I'm a senior associate planner for the city, and I have been working with the applicant on this project. So to begin, the staff recommendation is that the zoning administrator adopt a resolution approving the use permit with conditions of approval. Just some general background information to start. The site is located on Cannery Row. It has a mixed use neighborhood general plan land use designation and is located within the Cannery Row zoning district and has an H1 historic landmark overlay district zoning as well. It's a substandard lot at 3,000 square feet, and it contains 2 existing buildings, one of which is the subject building, which is a 2-story building where the project is proposed at the 2nd floor. Just some further background. So projects of the same scope were approved in the past in 2008, 2012, and in 2019, but the use permits had expired because the residential use was never constructed or established. The California Coastal Commission did issue a coastal development permit waiver for the 2019 use permit approval in 2024, but as I mentioned, the use permit did expire, so we did require the applicant apply to renew that use permit. So moving on to the project description. So it is the conversion of the vacant 2nd floor, which I believe was used for storage purposes. And it's a conversion to 1 residential unit. There's no additional floor area that's proposed. There's existing storage at the site that would be dedicated for use by the residential unit as required by the zoning ordinance. Parking is proposed at the Cannery Row garage And then the first floor use would remain as the Ostino's Patisserie. It's a cafe. And here is a floor plan showing the use. So you can see there's nothing going on at the second floor, and a small apartment is proposed here. In order to approve the use permit, the zoning administrator has to make 3 findings. The first relating to consistency with the zoning ordinance and the zone in which the site resides. The staff found that this project is consistent. It includes a parking plan as required by the parking section of the zoning code, as well as storage required by the C district supplemental section. The second finding is that the use is consistent with the general plan, would not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare to residents or the workforce. Staff was able to make this finding. It's a relatively modest project that involves, again, the conversion of existing space to a small residential unit. And then the last finding is that the use would comply with the conditions that are required by the city. The project will be required before any building permit is issued to comply with these requirements, including the requirement for a parking agreement. So with that, staff recommends that the zoning administrator approve the project with said conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here and would they like to make a presentation?
Hello, my name is Henry Runke. I'm with Wald Runke and Dost Architects. I may have presented this project back in 2019. This is actually the exact same project which we had approved at that time. So nothing has changed other than it's been 5 years. And during that 5-year period, what has occurred is that the California Coastal Commission received our application back in 2019. It had been approved by the city. However, the California Coastal Commission made the determination that they did not agree with how the water was calculated from the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District. And as a result, we got into a 5-year delay as the Coastal Commission and the various agencies related to water finally sorted that out. I think this was a situation where the Coastal Commission was trying to do things to have an effect on the American Tin Cannery project, which was being converted to a hotel. And there was a lot of argument about how the water was being used. And unfortunately, the owner of this property became victim to delays as a result. So as I mentioned before, this project has been approved exactly the same way back in 2019. Nothing has changed. Today, we're able to actually go forward with the project with the Coastal Commission has now approved the project and has agreed with water calculations. So we're ready to start construction as soon as we can receive what I would call a reapproval from the city of Monterey. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I do have a question for the applicant. Did you apply for a historic permit for the alterations to the facade?
I believe we did, and we've updated the historical report also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, can we open it up to public comments now? Spencer, could you remind the public how to participate?
Information on how to participate remotely by Zoom or telephone is found at monterey.gov/agendas. If you are joining by telephone, dial *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. There are no hands raised online.
Okay, I will close public comments then. I read the staff report and the resolution and all of the attachments, and I agree with staff's recommendation to approve this permit. The use is compatible with the mixed-use neighborhood general plan land use designation in that the proposal will be a mixed-use project. The project is not detrimental to the neighborhood or the vicinity or the city, in that the changes will be made primarily in the interior of the building, and there are no additions of floor area being proposed. And there is a residential parking plan that will allow the future resident to purchase a Cannery Row garage parking permit, so that they can, if they would desire, they can have a parking space. And the use will comply with the proposed conditions of approval. And I have a few changes to make to the resolution. So I approve the project with the submitted findings and with the following changes to the resolution. The title of the resolution, there's just a grammar error. Residential should be spelled out correctly. And on the first sentence, the first whereas statement, the owner is listed as Chris Shake, but the owner, I believe, is a trust. So that needs to be accurately reflected. The fourth whereas statement says that the site has a commercial land use, but in reality, it has mixed use neighborhood land use. And the fifth whereas statement should say the project site is located within the Cannery Row zoning district and has historic landmark H1 designation. Then going down a few paragraphs, there's a paragraph that begins with exception F. Instead of attachment 2, that should be exhibit B, and the historic report should become part of the resolution because it is supporting the environmental determination. So that becomes exhibit B. And in the now therefore paragraph, the last part of that paragraph should say exhibits A and B. And then I'm adding a special condition of approval that the applicant obtain the required historic permit prior to building permit issuance. With that, your use permit is approved. Congratulations. And this decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days of today's action on forms available online and in the planning office. And with that, I conclude today's zoning administrator meeting at 3:14 p.m.